All right. How's everybody doing tonight? So, I work at a very large conference out in Vegas called DEF CON. Been doing the network there for about 12 years. It's very fun. I do all sorts of stuff. I'm in just about everything. So, Twincities Makers, how many people have heard of hackerspaces here? Yes? It's not enough. So a hackerspace is basically a space that people can come together, collaborate on projects, work on things, maybe share ideas, share information, and it can be relating to just about anything. Could be relating to trebuchets, could be relating to electronics, could be woodworking. Basically the Twincities Maker Group and the Hack Factory. The Hack Factory is the space, have this huge open area for people to work on projects, such as woodworking, such as metalworking. We have an electronics lab, oscilloscopes, test benches, all sorts of fun stuff. Basically, you know, as you can see here, a place for people to come together and drink beer, right? We also have a bunch of people working on CNCs, computer numerical control, where you can take and actually cut out different components, mill stuff. It's actually really cool. This last fall, let me see if this last fall we had clothesline racers. Basically, the concept is you have a semi-autonomous robot that goes from one end of a metal string to another end without any user intervention. I think we had about 12 participants. Of those 12 participants, 3 of those actually made it back down and back in the anticipated time. A couple years ago, we had a mini maker fair. Basically, had about 12 exhibitors and about 500 people came through. We just had our most recent Mini Maker Faire 2. This is Mike Horde, who is the former president. We actually created a crown for DEF CON's World #1 Hacker Conference or contest. It was kind of funny. I mean, Mike put it all together. It was a great time. We also have handmade music, where people come together to create electronic music, electronic components that essentially are developed by the community, for the community, and for everybody to come together and play with noisemakers, essentially. So, all right, now on to the metal shit. So, a couple years ago, I got a welder, and I was freezing my ass off out in my garage trying to weld shit up. I'm like, this sucks. I need a place that's warm, that I can go and work on this stuff. But if I bring it in, I also don't want people to ruin my equipment, or worse yet, hurt themselves. So I started teaching a class about a year and a half ago, basically, at the Hack Factory on metalworking. And it was very successful. You'd have about 6 to 9 students that would come through, teach them the basics of here's what a MIG gun is, here's a plasma cutter, here's how you work on this metal without hurting yourself, making sure you've got all the necessary precautions in place. And it's just been a really great, fun thing. This is actually one of the classes. I think it was the second day of the class. It's a 2-day class. One of the classes, the students came back the next day with all these parts and cut it all up and made a table. I mean, this is cool stuff. This was one of my very first pieces that I did. It's not great, but what the hell? It was fun making it, right? So all sorts of, I don't know, sort of like drawing on the surface with your MIG gun. I don't know. And then it was time for our Mini Maker Faire, and I said, well, we need a donations box. So I'm going to make a donations box. Hence the lock on the side, if you can kind of see that. It's like, nobody's going to walk out with that thing. It weighed at least 60 pounds. Then, you move on to other things. There's this place called Discount Steel up in northeast Minneapolis that has what's called drop. And drop is essentially where they'll take and cut out, some sort of water jet or laser cut or plasma cut material, and they'll throw the excess away. Well, essentially this component here is a negative of the positive that they cut out. So I go and dig through these bins, grab all this stuff, and go, oh, I bet I could make something fun with this. Here's another example of drop. I think the main component of this is like some sort of a flange cover, but I don't care. It looks cool, And then you go through and kind of grind it down. Maybe you apply some heat, like propane, propane torch, and kind of gets it to start to oxidize and do all sorts of fun things. This is a table that I probably put about I think 5 clear coats on it so that it could be outside in the weather. I mean, totally fun stuff. Has anybody heard of the foot by a foot by a foot from the Minneapolis Arts Institute? Yeah, so I made this guy kind of with the understanding of it's going to fit in a foot by a foot by a foot. All right, so what else is there? tcmaker.org. Come check us out. We have open houses every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. So thank you.